Welcome to Between State Lines.
I hate being sick, and I feel like there's some random sickness that everyone's getting,
Yep.
and it's like the same thing. It's like extreme exhaustion and like just awfulness.
Everyone here, it's a stomach bug, and
Oh
it's
god.
excruciating.
Oh my
Excruciating.
god.
I only felt the stomach pain to that extent once, but my son had to go to urgent care and ER, and that sucked. Yeah, and I
Did you
felt.
get it, or are you still waiting?
I think I have. I think I've had it, like the last couple of days. Christmas Day, I felt the most excruciating pain in my stomach that I passed out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I definitely hit my head. It, yeah, it's been a week. That was Christmas Day, and I was supposed to go back and get my kids, and I was like, I'm not going to drive a vehicle today.
God. That's
Yeah,
awful. That is terrible.
yeah. My
Mm.
mom found me, and she was like, her hand was like on the button to call 911. And I was like, please don't. Like, I'm like calming her down.
Oh. Well, welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 27. It's 2025, everybody, and Steph has had an interesting whack week of Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. Christmas Day, man, wild.
I think I have a story that tops your story of almost dying. Uh, so Christmas Eve night, I was in bed, and I heard this like about maybe like a little before midnight, this random loud bang outside. And of course, my instinct was like, okay, someone's trying to get in the house. Like, we're all gonna die. Like, that's my go-to scenario. So I'm ready to like defend my honor and everyone else's honor. And so I go downstairs and I look in the doorbell camera, and there is this huge ass fire down the hill. We live on a hill, so like we see the entire valley, and like maybe half a mile away, there's this huge ass house on fire, and it's like engulfed in flames. And the banging sound I was hearing was ever so often the gas line of the house or whatever it was fed the fire, and there was a little explosion, and you could hear it all the way up in my house, it upstairs in our bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Oh, the entire house on fire. That's terrifying.
I'm gonna send you the picture I took from my window. Um, but I felt so bad. I was like, man, someone lost their house. But thankfully, I don't think anyone was in there because there was no like um they didn't have any kind of ambulance. Well, they had an ambulance, didn't have like tape in front of the house, and they were recovering the bodies. They just had fire trucks putting it out. It was freaking insane, and it was crazy to watch the explosions happen at the same time. But
Did you send it? Oh,
yeah, I just sent it. Yeah, that was from my freaking window. Like this massive,
wow.
yeah.
Oh my God.
And I checked all of the Facebook groups that I'm not banned from yet, and no one no one mentioned anything. So I don't know if it was like their house, like their guest house, or like a barn kind of structure, but it was still wild and terrible.
Yeah. I can't imagine a fire that huge. I've never been near a house fire, and that's like way too close for comfort.
Yeah, I stayed up because like it's far enough away where if it had like got the hill on fire, it would have been like risky for us. But they put it out like 12:30, 1 o'clock, thankfully. So, but the craziest thing of all is like on my doorbell camera, you can see at like 11:30 a little tiny flame, and then maybe like 2 minutes later, the whole thing is engulfed. Like that was how quick it happened. It was
Wow.
like bam,
Wow.
yeah.
I can't even imagine. Hopefully that was
Nope.
somebody's second home. Yeah, nobody there, nothing super valuable, family mementos, just like an
Yeah,
Airbnb.
hopefully. it Airbnb. The best case scenario is a landlord loses their money making house.
Yeah.
That's I'm all for that.
Wow, that's wild though. Too close for
Yeah,
comfort. One
too
street over,
close.
the power's out, and I'm like, oh, too close for comfort.
Oh my god, you got the crazy wind. I'm pretty sure we're getting the crazy wind tomorrow out here. So I'm gonna send it back to your area. I don't want it.
No, I want snow, and that's it. Yeah.
I I haven't had a white Christmas in like 20 years, and I'm kind of bummed. Like not even like you know leftover snow chilling. So I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get that this year either.
Yeah. I've never had a white Christmas. Like, I grew up in San Diego, so I remember one time I asked Santa for snow, and it was like, ask your parents to take you to Palomar Mountain. And then when I found out that, like, the truth, I was like, what the hell? Like, you guys didn't take me to the snow like I asked for. You knew, you read it.
Um, so today for my another segment of my beef corner, I you kind of you confessed things last episode that were kind of pretty telling, and I feel like I need to return the favor. I can't just leave it un you know one sided. Um, so I am gonna admit that I'm very 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 clumsy. Like this is a beef I have with myself. I don't know what it is, but I walk into things so much. And it's not like my full body is walking into like the wall or a person or a couch. It's my freaking feet. I like Christmas Day, I kicked the dining room table chair and I was like, ow, that hurt. And not even like 3 minutes later, I walked past it again and kicked it again. But I do this all the fucking time. I I will walk the same way and still kick the freaking thing, no matter what it is in my way. I do it every single day.
Your beef is actually with that chair.
Yes, it is. So I'm gonna break it up. I'm gonna burn it. I'm gonna show it pictures of that house on fire. I'm like, hey, get in line, or you're gonna end up like that. You're
Yeah,
gonna
it's not your
burn.
beef at all. You just really hate that chair. But I have the same problem, actually. I run into a lot of things. I don't feel like that was good enough, but it's fine. You'll come up with something better.
Also, okay, audience. Last week, told me to watch Tommy, and so I did. I forgot you watched it while consuming things, and so I watched it sober. Look, great film. I enjoyed it. However, I looked away for a second, came back, and there was some lady. I think it was the mom. I'm pretty sure it was the mom rolling around, getting shot with beans, like canned beans, like baked beans, and then getting shot with chocolate and then rolling around the floor. And I think she was humping or wrestling with a couch cushion or something like a pillow. I don't know what the too sober for this.
Yeah, it's been too long to say, but it's art. Like, it's art.
I
It was
liked it.
a messed up movie.
Yeah, yeah. It was messed up. I enjoyed it. I have like 30 minutes left to watch of it. I enjoyed it, especially like the whole Marilyn Monroe, which again you undersold that. The whole Marilyn Monroe like getting worshipped thing and like her being essentially like Jesus, and especially the ladies with the masks on of Marilyn Monroe like dancing around her and freaking Eric Clapton. I just lost it. But then the whole bean chocolate whatever scene just was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck did I walk into?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. But one time it was on like some TV show, some TV that was in like the lunchroom when I worked at T-Mobile at the call center. So it couldn't have been like that bad. How could they? I don't know. I don't know how they made like a made for TV movie.
I think okay. don't quote me on this. I think it's rated. What is it rated? Tommy rating.
It's a weird movie, but it's art.
It's white,
It's a rock opera.
and I do enjoy that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it. Audience, if you do want to watch it again, I don't want you to watch it sober. It's much better, I'm sure, if you are stoned, if you're drunk or whatever, but sober, it's a little bit crazy. So weird, crazy story I saw while I was researching this week's episode, completely unrelated to anything we're going to talk about today. Do you know the wacko, weird, crazy, creepy foundings of Kellogg's cereal?
Maybe if it's on Adam Ruins Everything, maybe. That sounds kind of familiar.
So the founder of Kellogg's, J.H. Kellogg, was a weird guy. He was an Adventist Christian dude who had, among other things, he had like a sanitarium, and he did experiments on kids and like adults and mental health stuff, and was like had peer reviewed like writings out in medical journals. But the weirdest thing is cornflakes were created, this bland ass cereal were created because he was trying to have food that would not stimulate someone's brain in a sexual way. So teenage boys and adults would not masturbate. That is why cornflakes.
Yes, that is on Adam Ruins Everything, but I couldn't understand the correlation between how cornflakes was going to stop men from masturbating. I don't know.
I think it's honestly, I think it's both men and female, but that's just, it's crazy that like, I mean, I never knew that until I saw it this week, and I was like, what the fuck? Like Kellogg's, like, and now you're corn. I used to eat cornflakes as a kid. I mean, I guess it worked, but like, I put sugar, I put sugar on it.
Yeah, I don't know. We had cornflakes around as kids, I guess. That's not something that we've had for a really long time, though. It is
No,
bland ass cereal. But
it's
how
very
is it
bland.
still around?
So it's the boomers who boil their chicken. They want to have cornflakes.
Cornflakes and Raisin Bran, probably.
Oh, one other thing I will admit. So I will confess that I used to be a super hardcore Christian when I was growing up. And when you sent me that TikTok, I can't remember what song it was, but it reminded me when I was growing up and I was a teenager, I used to think emo bands and like death metal bands and that whole like either genre were demonic and against God, and anyone who fell in either category were Satanists.
You were very extreme. How did we
That
get
was,
here?
I thank my first girlfriend for changing my world, and now I'm no longer a wacko, but yeah, I was that way until I was like probably 18 or 19.
Wow. Just trying to imagine, like, that being who you are. Like, what if you never would have taken this road? Wow.
I would be a God fearing. I also had oh God, I started a Facebook group, and I think it still exists, called the Jesus Believers of America. And I would like, my plan was to like had like publish like sermons every Sunday, and but I got lazy, so I would either not do it, or I would just go online and find someone else's sermon and copy and paste it in the group and claim it was mine.
Okay. That makes me feel better. That's the confession we needed.
Yes, I was a wild, wild, wild kid. And honestly, I don't know where I got it from. I honestly no idea where I got it off from this trail. But I used to hate I used to hate gay people. I used to be a homophobe, and then I started dating someone, and I have since realized how dumb it was.
Wow. True miracle.
True miracle. I think the whole gay thing was my brother came out as gay, and I was like, well, I can't be a homophobe. My brother's gay, so
Yeah,
we're getting real here on the pod.
that is real. I mean, I used to be like super, like going to church all the time because I wasn't really allowed to leave the house. And so if I said I was going to church, I was allowed to go. And so I went to church like Wednesday night, Saturday, Sunday, like all of the trips, everything. But I wouldn't say that I was like somebody who is really into it. I liked the music and it was someplace to go, so I didn't have to be stuck at home. But I kind of resented my parents for that, like, oh, be super Christian, or I don't know, like putting their beliefs on me. That was hard. It definitely changed my perspective on religion. But yeah, I went all the time for all the stuff, like make friends, eat good food, get out of the house, go on trips. Went to like the Hollywood sign for a youth trip down to LA and all sorts of. I went there every single chance I got, but I wasn't like super religious. I was just there
I
to
mean,
chill.
you went to church way more than I did. Even as a wacko, I hate it. I thought I fell asleep in church all the time. I hated reading the Bible. It was so boring to me. At least you went more often than I did.
I did fall asleep during church all the time. Like, yeah, yeah. I like the music, but the rest of it was like boring. But I was out of
Yeah.
the house. I was making friends.
um, and the last confession I will tell you, and it's not really that bad, but one time, this is kind of goes with my clumsiness. I decided when I was really drunk one night, I wanted to cut an avocado open, but I went to cut it open with a butcher knife instead of a butter knife or a spoon. And so I had it in my hand, and I went and I was joking around with somebody. I was swinging it like this, and I went whoosh and hit my pinky, which is still a scar. You can't see it, but sliced my pinky open and uh, refused to go to the hospital. I needed stitches. Refused to go to the hospital. And then the next day, went to the doctor, and they pulled the bandage off. And when the oxygen hit the wound, whew, the most pain I've ever felt until they put silver nitrate on my cut. And then I almost passed out from the pain.
Man, I know that level of pain now since Christmas Day. But man, ugh. When you said the air hitting it, like that sent a shiver down my spine. I can feel that. I don't like that.
No, no,
Ugh.
nope. Ugh.
Your
Yeah,
poor pinky.
never. Yeah, there's still a scar there you can see, but I'll send you a picture later. But yeah, it was pretty gnarly. I have since learned I had my wife made me wear cutting gloves for a while after that point. So,
Nice. You
but
deserved it.
I deserved it, and I have since learned how to cut things without,
Ding.
slicing my finger off. But if Jeff Bezos had been in the room, maybe I could have gotten some money out of it.
This is why you're not scared. You're like, kind of did it myself already.
It's just ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Been
Um.
there, done that.
So today I figured we would dive into a region of the United States that we have talked about kind of every now and then, and you and I kind of like sent videos back and forth on TikTok. The Appalachian Mountains / trail. Everyone knows, hopefully our audience knows, that it's a creepy ass region where a lot of things happen, and Apparently, there's a set of rules you have to follow to avoid seeing. What was the word we were gonna call those beings that we don't remember? So I'm gonna say I'm just gonna say skinwalkers. So
Okay.
sorry if they come for you. Um,
I'm not scared. They're coming for
you're
you.
not scared.
You already have something in your bushes outside your house.
So so I actually got a set of. I mean, someone on Reddit posted a bunch of rules that you're supposed to follow. So I figured we start by talking about those rules. So the first, and this comes from the user hypno eyes underscore lonely. The first and most important rule: if you hear your name in the Appalachian Mountains, no, you didn't. Especially if you're traveling alone, and especially if you're alone at night or if that voice wakes you up from a dead sleep. Don't answer, don't acknowledge, keep hiking, or if you're woken up, do not go back to sleep. Build a fire and keep yourself awake at all costs. It knows where you are now, but as long as you don't slip up or doze off, you'll live.
Well,
I
I
think
die. If I get
I
bored enough,
would
I go to sleep.
I would fall right to sleep. Like I would not stay awake. I'd be dead. I'm done.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yep, that's what it feels like. Like I would die. If I get bored enough, I am asleep. Precious, precious time.
So my daughter is sleeping in our room this week because my brother-in-law is here, and so we moved the crib in our room, and at the end of the bed, and I like probably 3 times this week have been woken up by her just like grabbing my toes, which is the cutest and also creepiest thing to have happen at like 2 in the morning is someone just grab your toes. I mean, this morning she tickled me, so I mean that was that was better. Like someone just grabbing your toe.
I'd be so scared of my reflexes. Like,
That's why I was like, I would just kick you in the face. But don't
yeah,
do
yeah. Like I wouldn't mean to, obviously, but I'd be scared.
instinct. Um,
Protect yourself.
the the second rule of in the Appalachian Mountains: if you hear screaming in the mountains, especially a woman's scream, no, you didn't. Ignore it at all costs and do not try to find the source. It could be foxes mating, could be a person in need of actual help, or it could be something you don't ever want to know about. Never a good idea to risk it um, perving on unless you're perving on foxes or have a death wish. You know that scream, and no one will ever find your body. Follow that scream, and no one will ever find your body. Um,
No problem, sir.
I don't know. I feel like I have to. Like, I guess okay, if it's during the day, I probably wouldn't have a hard time going after the noise. At night, okay, I'm with you there.
Yeah. And these rules mostly apply at night, but yeah, no, honestly, I'm probably not a very helpful person.
What if it was you? Okay, what if like we all went hiking or camping, and you were out there screaming? Am I
I
supposed to
don't.
ignore you?
How are you supposed to find me? It's dark. No, I got
I,
myself in there. Let it be.
I gotta follow the screams. You gotta like, I'm over here, Marco Polo. Just Marco Polo your scream.
What
You scream, and then I scream.
what if that is it? Like we're out camping and it's screaming and then I am like I'm over here and I'm like the other direction.
Okay, we need a code word. So if it's really you, you have to scream the Muffin Man.
Oh god. Okay, I
And
remember that.
and if it's not you, then you won't be screaming that unless they are watching this video.
Do you think that things in like how do you say that? The Appalachian in the
I
Appalachian
think it's
Mountains?
yeah, I think it's Appalachian.
Do you think that they watch like YouTube or TikToks or listen to Spotify?
I mean, I would. I'd want to know what people are saying about me. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know fucking know what these motherfuckers are spreading lies about my existence.
Yeah. Well, then we're in trouble. I guess we can't go camping.
The third rule: never whistle at night. Not even to get your buddy's attention, not to keep your mind busy, not even as a stimulation to keep yourself awake. If you whistle, you're telling the whole damn forest and all the things in it, I am here, come and get me. And trust me when I say this, some of those things you don't want knowing your location, and I'm not referring to mountain lions. I can get along with this one. Like, yeah, I don't want someone to know I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I can get behind this rule.
Yeah, and I think you're also supposed to not answer to whistles. But yeah, I can't whistle, so I'm good there.
I can whistle very well, so I will refrain. And I do it quite often when I'm bored, so I will refrain from doing that.
No
Promise.
whistling, especially after dark.
Rule number 4: when you seal up your tent for the night before sleeping, you seal it really tight. If anything gets in, that sunset you saw through the trees will be your last. Most things in the mountains will see a tent and think nothing of it, and the smarter things will leave well enough alone if they see no way in. Make sure your tent has no holes anywhere and keep that tent in good condition, or I cannot guarantee your safety. Also, good idea. I can get behind this rule. That's not
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, I don't know if I really want to camp out there, though. There's some brave people that do, but I just don't know about that. Just don't be out past dark.
There's some people that will hike the entire trail, and I think it goes up like Atlanta up the East Coast, which is crazy.
Yeah,
So
that is nuts. I think I knew one person that went and did that, and yeah, it's nuts. Because we've talked about the orbs from the trails, right? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
No. Like, everything out there is a big question mark. No thanks. It's
I don't
purgatory.
know.
Just death around every corner.
Fifth rule. If you want to sleep under the stars, you build a fire big enough to burn through the night until sunrise. It's not to keep you warm, it's to keep things away from you. I feel like this is an impossible rule though. Unless you're like you have a big ass bonfire, I feel like, you know, even like 10 logs will go out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't think that I not wanting to sleep under the tent there. I definitely don't want to sleep under the stars. It is what I'm trying to get at. Not even
Uh
necessary.
the rule 6, I think you're gonna have a hard time with. I don't think you're gonna be able to do this one. If you see a deer, half a deer, laying on the ground, no matter what time of day it is, don't stand there and gawk at it. And Steph, do not touch the body. Run until you run out of breath. It's still there and it's baiting you. It knows you have morbid curiosity. It's stronger than you, but won't chase. Don't be an idiot and think you can fight it because no one will find your body. But even if someone does, all they'll find would be teeth and bone fragments. So, Steph, your morbid curiosity, you gotta control that.
Yeah, I don't think I have that out in the middle of nowhere. But I don't like to run.
But
So
but you have it. You don't have it in the middle of nowhere. You have morbid curiosity elsewhere.
yeah, I
Is
don't
what you're
know.
saying.
Yeah, sure. But middle of nowhere, nope. There's danger around every corner. I don't have time for this. I need to be out of there. But at the same time, I don't really like running, and the idea of you can't fight this thing. It's that strong. It doesn't want to chase you. Yeah, right. I'm not going to beat that.
What if? Okay, would you go to the Appalachian Trail and like skip all these rules, right? If you had like, I don't know, 50 people with you and all the people are armed with some kind of weapon, bow and arrow, knives, guns, whatever it may be. They're all your friends and they're, I don't know if you know 50 people. I don't, but like we'll find 50 people we trust to keep us protected. Would you do that? I think I would.
I
I
think
would
I
do it with one
would if
person.
I had a big group of like semi friends. Yeah, I think that wouldn't, if everybody was staying together, I think I could do that.
Plot twist. You go to the bathroom and you turn around and everyone's gone. And then you hear 50 whistles and it's all your friends coming back to see you. But it's not your friends. It's like these beings that are impersonating your friends.
Wouldn't happen, not going to the bathroom.
I'm wearing a diaper.
Hold it. We're just staying overnight. It'll be fine. Don't eat or
uh,
anything.
don't don't eat or drink. Um, Rule number 7: if you get attacked by a human or an animal, you fight tooth and nail to save your life. But if something else catches you, just give in. If you carry a sidearm, make sure you have 2 bullets in it. If you think you can scare it off or hurt a thing that's attacking you and isn't an animal, you shoot 1 bullet at it. If it doesn't run off, you know what to do with the other one. I don't know. That seems like I would just carry a loaded, like fully loaded gun and save
Yeah.
1 bullet for myself. But like, I'd pop like 10 times in that mofo.
Yeah, give it a shot. What is this just packed to? 3's too heavy.
3 I'd be like, in Die Hard, John McClane. I'd have like a whole freaking like vest full of weapons. I'm like unloading every single gun I don't own into this mofo. Hopefully, they stop moving, and then I
Yeah,
can run.
I think if it gets that heated, I am not supposed to be there. My armed
Um,
50 friends are supposed to take care of me.
they're supposed to save you, and they failed you. So there are several urban legends that I pulled up for this region, and then I pulled a really good story about one of the legends, the Bell Witch, that I read. So the first urban legend or thing that's supposed to have happened or does happen in the Appalachia mountain range, um, called the Brown Mountain Lights. For over 2 centuries, mysterious lights have been observed above Brown Mountain in North Carolina. The earliest known account is from 1771, when German engineer John William Gerard de Brom documented the phenomenon in his journal, and since then, numerous legends have emerged with witnesses describing silent, glowing orbs that drift over the hills before vanishing or bursting above the peaks. In 1922, the U.S. Geological Survey investigated the Brown Mountain Lights, attributing them to automobile headlights or passing train lights. The explanation that was challenged when a significant flood destroyed local roads and tracks, and the lights persisted. Among various theories, a prevalent Cherokee legend. That's an easy name for me to pronounce. Cherokee. I'm proud of myself there. I did
Good
so
job.
well. I'm gonna mess this next one up though. That legend suggests that lights are the spirits of women searching for their fallen warriors after a historic battle between the Cherokee and the Catawba tribes on Brown Mountain. Um, Modern observations by Forest Service officers and Appalachian State University researchers have noted the lights continued to appear. Um, Contemporary scientific hypotheses propose that the brown mountain lights may result from natural gases emitted by the mountain or phenomena like ball lightning. Regardless of their origin, the lights are frequently visible in North Carolina, particularly during the nighttime, from September to November.
Okay, excuse me, ball lightning?
Ball lightning.
What?
When you go to that science museum and you put your hand on and science, your hair sticks up and you know science.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I think ball lightning is. I think that is what it is. It's like a ball floating in the sky, and like
Ball
that's sound
lightning.
effects of my life.
Yeah, that okay. So when I was talking about the orbs, yeah, we were talking about that today. Those are terrifying. That reminds me of this whole like drone thing because people keep talking about the drones that they're seeing. That sorry, there's a stink bug that just is randomly in my room. As long as it doesn't fly near me, I think we're gonna be cool.
Smash it and then smell it. Smash it and
No,
smell it
no,
like
thank you.
this.
No, I don't even want this near me.
Oh,
It's
that's right.
on
It's
my
not an
bed right
ant.
now. I hate this. So I just had to try it. After somebody asked me, have you done this before? I was like, no, but I've smushed ants. Like I've just never took it to that extent. And then I gave it a try and it was weird. Okay, I think we're gonna be fine. I don't remember what I was saying before that though. I got really distracted. The stink bug, I don't like it on my bed. Does this happen when I'm not paying attention? Do I sleep with these?
I think you do. Science does say that you swallow approximately 3.5 stink bugs every 6 months.
I hate that. That has to be wrong. That has to be made up.
I would
Fake
never
news.
make up. I would never make that up, Steph. I am 100% a truth teller.
Can you see him?
Oh yeah. Hey, sexy.
Ugh. Get out of here. Okay. I don't remember what we were saying before that. Sorry. I have a new pet.
Uh, I think you mentioned the orbs and the drones.
Oh, yeah. The people who have been talking about the orbs that have been in like Phoenix. And sorry, he's in like crouching position. It's really scaring me that he's gonna fly at my face. Um but so the orbs that have been like in Phoenix, and then they talked about the drones, and then they said that the orbs shot one of the drones out of the sky. I don't know if this is true or not, but it was something that I saw online and I was like, that it makes sense. The drones are here to check out whatever these orb things that are going on in random parts of the country. I don't know. I'd like to know what's going on. Is there any updates since last week? Because I've been in the dark. We've been sick over here.
I think that they still people still see them like on the West Coast more often now, but like the government still is not saying anything. And I think they're starting to like kind of taper off, like not really, but they kind of are.
Okay.
As far as like frequency, um, but the government does not want to. Well, the funny thing was also Trump came out and he said they asked him at an interview I think last week where because he gets briefed on this shit now, so he knows what it is, and he was like, well, I think if the Biden administration knows what it is, they should tell everybody, and like they were like, well, what do you know about it? And he was like, well, I'm not going to comment on it. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh,
Be
so they can
useful
tell
for
us,
once.
but you can't tell us. Yeah, but you have about everything else.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Trump. Thank you so much.
no new updates. Just
No,
seems like
sadly.
there's less of them.
But I think your friend that has a drone, here's what we should do. We should take his drone, borrow it. Not take it. We'll ask him permission. Let me borrow your drone. That's the
Yeah.
official request. Uh, we'll fly it into areas where other drones have been known to be seen, and then we will attack those drones. Like we'll tape like knives on the drone or something. Hey, the sync bug was just on your phone. I just saw it like a little antenna
Yeah, it
on
was
the
just like
camera.
almost to the camera and then it fell. Or a little
They're
bug.
like they're like, we want to be part of the podcast. Uh,
I just
we
don't want it
want to be
out of my
part.
sight so that I can get rid of it when we're done. Like, go
You have like
somewhere.
a cup you could put over it.
Uh,
I feel like that'll contain it. Otherwise, you're probably gonna lose track of it.
you're right. I think I have a spot. If he doesn't, just don't mind me. I'm trying so hard to get him into this plastic container, and he's on top of one of them, but I can just put them on top of each other, and then it'll be a little clear area for him to hang out. But man, he has a strong grip. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to use you to push him off. All right. He lives in there now.
See, what you gotta do is you have to put him in a jar, right? Okay, here's what you do. You put him in the jar, you close the jar, and then you drive that jar 2 miles away downtown, and then you find a metal trash can and you throw that sucker into the trash can just so it breaks and he gets out, hopefully, maybe. And then you didn't kill him. You just maybe killed him.
I have an easier method with stink bugs. I take toilet paper and I just pick them up and then I throw them in the toilet and then I flush it, and if they live somewhere else, then great. If they die, then they die.
I wonder if stink bugs can survive in water. Let me Google this.
Don't know. Don't care. But thank you, Target, for these little plastic shelves that just like fit right into each other.
So this is what Google says. This may surprise you, but the drain pipe is not full of water. It's full of air. Water and so run down, but insects and other critters can cling to the pipe walls and won't drown. If you flush a live insect, chances are high it will survive.
Yeah, but it will go somewhere else, probably.
That's fair. If it'll crop someone else's butt in the toilet.
I mean, I've never seen them crawl back out, so I felt confident, and I've done this many times, especially if they're like in the toilet paper. Like I just feel like that will just take them somewhere else.
That's fair. That's good. That's a good.
It's a theory, but I'm still finding stink bugs. So what? It's basically January. It's messed up.
Fucked up. It's fucked up. So the next urban legend mythical thing is Mothman, which you and I have discussed before.
Yes.
In November 1966, an unusual series of events unfolded in West Virginia and Ohio. It began when two young couples from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallett, reported encountering a large man-like bird with glowing red eyes while driving near an abandoned World War II TNT factory. The creature, with an estimated 10-foot wingspan, reportedly flew alongside their car, matching their speed even as they accelerated past 100 miles per hour. And upon reaching the Point Pleasant city limits, the couples immediately reported the sighting to local police. The press dubbed the creature Mothman, and the story gained widespread attention. Over the following year, residents of Point Pleasant reported sighting at least 8 additional times they saw him, consistently describing a large man-like bird with prominent red eyes. Despite local skepticism, Point Pleasant experienced a surge in unusual occurrences. Reportings of unidentified flying objects increased significantly, and mysterious individuals dressed in black were observed in the hills surrounding the town. These strange events persisted until December 15th, 1967, when the Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed during rush hour traffic, and that disaster resulted in the deaths of 46 people. So it is believed that he or she or it or they foretell these disasters happening. So he's a fortune teller. I'd fuck with him.
Might not be terrible after all.
Mothman, if you hear this, you can live in my backyard. I will. You know what? You can live in my house. I
Yeah, you
will.
live at Holden's house.
I I'll give you the. I'll give you the garage, nice and dry, nice and warm in the winter, nice and cool in the summer. great. I'll give you a little bed. I'll put a bed down there. You can hang out and chill and tell me the winning lotto numbers, and then we can get a bigger house, a mansion, and you can have an entire wing to yourself.
I like that. Yeah. So now that you have a bold assumption that Mothman's going to listen to our podcast.
Mothman is one of our 30 listeners, okay? He comes in on a weekly basis, tunes in, and has been waiting for his moment in the sun.
Again, because we've talked about him before. But I'm more on
Yes.
board now than then. I think I was like, hell no then. But I'm on board with him living at your house.
He sounds kind of attractive. 10-foot wingspan, very tall person, man-like bird, glowing red eyes.
Yeah, totally. Glowing red eyes. I don't
Flies
know.
100 miles an hour.
Birds kind of freak me out. I think it's a pass for me.
Birds freak you out?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like pigeons and like parrots, or like
Like all of
hawks
them.
and like big birds?
Yeah, like all of them. Birds are kind of weird. I don't know. Like, I had a chicken and I liked her just fine, but she also, like, I wouldn't cross her.
Did you get attacked by a chicken, Steph? Is that what you're trying to tell
No.
us?
But one time, they were fed bacon and those things went like ravenous. Yeah, I wouldn't cross a bird. Birds are kind of freaky. So a bird like man, he can live at your house. Yeah.
Usually I don't fuck with birds because when I was a kid, I had a bird poop on my head on a field trip.
Hmm.
Like an asshole. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just chilling, eating my freaking lunch at the Smithsonian in downtown DC. Next thing you know, there's shit on my head, and it's bird shit.
Supposed to be good luck. I got pooped
One
on my
time I
shoulder.
also it pooped in your shoulder.
Yeah, I was in a parade and a bird pooped on my shoulder, and it was in the, like, I had my photo in the newspaper, and I was working at A&W at the time, and the owners drew a bird and it was pooping on me. And they had it hung up at the restaurant. It was kind of funny.
Oh man. Well, at least you got a drawing out of it, you know?
Yeah.
I just got a head full of poop.
Yep. Yeah. You're right. I won on that one. Except for that, I was like, really? Somehow our paper or our picture ended up in the paper despite having bird poop on my shoulder. Okay, whatever. Some small town stuff.
Small town shenanigans. One time at a field trip, it had just rained and stormed the previous night. I was in kindergarten, and it was like some like a corn maze kind of like festival place, whatever. And it was really muddy, and the teachers told us not to run when we got off the bus. And of course, me being a kindergartner, I'm like, "Fuck you!" And I ran, and I slipped, and I fell in the mud, and my entire back and ass and legs and face were covered in mud.
Yep.
And yeah, fun
I learned
times as
this
a kindergartner.
today, actually. I told my kids, don't run. It's windy and rainy out there. And my daughter was carrying I got them both Squishmallow blankets. Costco has them. And I was like, don't run, walk, because it's rainy and muddy. And my daughter just takes off running and biffs it, drops her blanket. She's muddy. The blanket's muddy.
Oh,
She's devastated. She wants me to wash it, but then she wants to take it to her dad's house. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways. You can take the messy blanket to your dad's house, but he's going to have to wash it there. If I start washing it here, you're not leaving with it because we're leaving soon. She was absolutely devastated.
ah,
To be
poor
three.
kid, poor kid.
To be three.
Uh, You know what weird thing I just thought of today that my mom told me when I was a kid?
What?
So I am deathly allergic to peanuts and peanut butter and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
And she told me so I wouldn't eat Chinese food, or I guess any Asian food, that Chinese specifically, they sealed their egg rolls and crab rangoons with peanut butter and cooked them. So if I ate them, I would die.
She just for funsies. She just didn't want you to eat this stuff, so she told you that
I don't know why, because she would eat them in front of me. I don't
she
know
just
if
didn't
it's
want
like
to
her
share.
way. Didn't want to share. Did not. And I, as a kid, I believed it until I was like probably 20. I was like, yeah, I can't eat those. They're sealed with peanut butter. My friends are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that doesn't work. That would
Oh my
not work.
god. Oh my god. That's so rude.
This is also like 16 years before when she was mad at me. I don't know if I told you the story. When she was mad at me one day for doing something stupid, she locked me in my room by smearing peanut butter on my door frame.
I feel
And yeah, I was like, dope, cool, sick.
so you could not leave the door threshold until she cleaned this up.
Yeah. And the real kicker is she tells me today or nowadays that that never happened. And I'm making that up. My therapist put that in my brain.
Oh my god. I can't. I can't. Oh, I can't. Especially hearing that it never happened. There's one specific instance when I was a kid that my dad like grabbed me by the neck and like pushed me over to the dishes and was like, do the dishes. And he had literally just taken away my room, saying I'm sharing a room with my mom now and I'm never going to school again. And I'm never getting like, yeah, it just took everything away from me. And then he's like, go do the dishes. And I just looked at my mom and I was like, you're gonna let this happen? And she just looked at me and went, what? And to this day, she's like, did not happen. And I like that's so triggering for me to hear like the nope, that never happened. I'm like, yes, it did. Just because you're ashamed doesn't mean it didn't happen. Do not discredit your children. I hate
That makes me so mad whenever I hear someone say that, like, oh, that didn't happen. I'm like, I'm sorry. What the fuck?
it.
I
Yeah.
imagined that? Okay.
Yeah. How nuts do you think I am? And why? What's the purpose? Why? Why? I don't know. Oh, I hate it.
My therapist is evil, is what it is. It's all
Yeah,
scheme.
that's it. The therapist just wants to
Uh,
make sure that there's still conflict so that they still have a job because there's not enough trauma.
exactly. Without us, they wouldn't have jobs, okay? They'd be screwed.
Wow. Wow. Because it's like everybody needs a therapist all the time for everything they've been through.
I'm gonna pause your upload because you are frozen on my screen. I can still hear you. Your face is frozen.
Oh, I see that too.
Um, we'll see if it comes back. So the next and this next story or the next urban legend, I have a story. It's pretty wild. It's the Bell Witch. So in the 19th century, the Bell family settled in the Red River bottomland of Robertson County, Tennessee. And approximately a decade after moving into their log home, they began experiencing unexplained disturbances, including knocking, scratching, and the sound of objects being dragged across the floor at all hours. Um, the activity eventually intensified, with the Bell daughters reporting unseen forces pulling their bed sheets and pinching them during the night, which maybe was like a little girl, like my daughter, pinching their toes to wake
Mm,
them up, I think.
yeah, yeah, they
Uh,
put the thing at the end of the bed.
Concerned about the community's perception, John Bell initially kept these events secret, fearing judgment from the congregation at the Baptist church. But he eventually confided in his friend James Johnston, who was skeptical until he spent a night at the Bell farm and personally experienced the phenomena. Um, as word spread, the entity seemed to gain strength in the attention, and it began speaking, claiming to be the spirit of a local woman named Kate Batts, leading to the nickname Bell Witch. The spirit engaged. Well, this is wild. The spirit engaged in religious debates, sang hymns, and even reportedly recited 2 sermons verbatim as they were being delivered simultaneously at churches 13 miles apart. The haunting became so notorious that General Andrew Jackson visited the farm with his men. After a night of torment by the witch, they departed hastily, with Jackson purportedly stating he would rather fight the British at Newlines than fight the Bell Witch. Um, so yeah, that's that. And I have an actual story of the Bell Witch. Let me scroll down and find it.
I'm just confused at how the sermons were being done at the exact same time, that many miles apart, and then it was also said verbatim.
Yeah, how do you communicate that? Like, there's 1800s. There's no like walkie-talkies. So you can't really. There's no phones. So you can't really communicate what was
And I'm
being
just
said when.
reading the exact same sermon.
Yeah, right. I feel like that part, especially like engaging in religious debates, sounds a little sus to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical.
I am highly skeptical, but this supposedly true story is might change your mind. And it's called My Experience with the Bell Witch Haunting by Reddit user. I love Reddit. The law _ sun.
I love Reddit too.
I lived in Adams, Tennessee, growing up from about ages 18 or 14 to 18. A couple of weeks after my family and I moved there, something unexpected happened. I was mowing on my dad's tractor with a big 8-foot wide back end mower. I was going down a hill when the horizon. I can't speak. I was going down a hill when the horizon line violently was thrown around as the tractor tires hit something. I disengaged the mower, pulled the tractor around the base of the hill, and got out. My blood went cold as I looked through the swath I had just cut, like a buzzer going down the middle of someone's head, making a lane in the grass. In that lane were 4 Native American burial graves. My parents started reaching out to anyone who might be able to help us identify the graves: anthropologists, historians, anyone who's accredited, etc. Those people unanimously agreed that these 4 graves were from the Trail of Tears. They corroborated this from what I remember because of how the graves were laid. Very, very shallow, with a giant slab of stone where a gravestone would be. The fact that they were interned on a side or a hillside to keep the water from sinking and raising the bodies, because they bury them so quickly. I consider myself a very logically driven, rationally minded person. Basically, I let my empirical senses try to explain something before I open myself to other possibilities. Yet there were things that happened to me and my whole family that we weren't able to rationalize with the scientific mindset or anything logical. So the first event number 1, the activity in our house started shortly after the mowing incident. We heard heavy knocking and pounding on the brick outer wall of the house. No matter where you were in the house, you could hear the knocking. Some nights I would hear running footsteps accompanying the pounding, and the activity happened nearly every single night. As the nights passed, I started feeling a heavy presence in my room, a suffocating one, like a heavy weight sitting on my solar plexus constantly. Whatever was happening decided to latch on to me. Event number 2. Things continued to escalate. One night, I was letting my golden retriever go to pee, and we had a ranch-style house overlooking the Red River. The door we were exiting was on the back side of the house, facing the river, and as I opened the door, I started hearing faint whispering, something akin to leaves being blown / scratching across the ground. I looked up at the trees to see if the wind was blowing. Everything was perfectly still. It was fall in Tennessee, so tons of leaves on the ground, and they were not moving either. The scratchy, blowing noise continued, but as it continued, it grew closer and louder and louder. It sounded like a language of some sort, like how you'd imagine an incantation or something nefarious in the tone of the sound. I looked down at my golden retriever. All of the hair on her back was standing up, and she was snarling like a rabid wolf, yet not barking, just kind of frozen in a fear response. I started getting extremely nauseous and could smell sulfur. I was completely frozen when my dog launched herself through the door's threshold and started gnashing her teeth in midair, snarling and chomping. The voices were now coming from directly in front of me, and I could hear them as if someone was standing right there, a foot or two away. I grabbed my dog midair and pulled her inside, slammed the door, and threw the deadbolt in place. The door and frame shook violently as a vicious pounding started hammering on the threshold. My dog and I ran to the center of the house, flipping on every single light along the way. We sat there alone all night till the sun came up. Ginger, my golden retriever, laid across my lap the entire night, pressing into me when she whimpered for hours. All I could do was pet her and try to calm her down, which was also helping me to regulate my own emotions. This was impossible, though. The entire night until sunrise, the back door was thumping. So far, two wildly crazy things happened after he ran over a native burial ground. Event number 3. It happened when I was coming home from football practice. I had all my gear in a gym bag over my left shoulder. This is important because of how I entered the house. As I closed the front door behind me, I began sitting the gear bag down from my left side, which caused me to look to my right. The room, when you first walked in, was our library, where we had a leather couch, a chair, a piano, bookshelves, and a wooden rocking chair. There was something sitting in the rocking chair. My peripheral vision caught it first. The chair going back and forth. As my vision centered in on the chair, there was a humanoid looking shape sitting there, head glancing downward at the book it was holding. Long black hair drawn down over its head and completely void of light. To picture what I saw, imagine the silhouette of a person, but rather a void of light. The light coming in around the edges of it seemed to be eaten up by the void, or the presence, as the light spilled over the contour edges of the humanoid shape, like how black holes are visualized almost exactly. It felt like I had jumped off a bridge into ice-cold water. I blasted myself backwards against the door, screaming, and fell down. As I was falling, I saw the void blur suddenly as it shot across the walls of my house and out through a huge bay window looking over the river. My golden retriever was in the room next to me and sprinted to chase the shadow across the walls, barking and clawing at the walls. After it left through the window, my dog came to me and laid in my lap until my parents got home. Event number 4.
Jesus.
So there's 7 events he has. No, 8 events.
My God.
This poor person, poor kid, who just happened to run over a burial ground that had nothing to do with him. Like just doing it accidentally, not even meaning to do anything at all. Gets fucked.
Yeah, seriously. Terrifying.
Event number 4. I was fishing with my cousin Jack on the river by our house. We were right on the bend of the river, so the moon would be shining on both sides, racing out at 2 lines like a 90-degree angle from the house. Super beautiful when you weren't on the edge. The reason I bring this up, there was a lot of light on the river that evening. Jack was about 10 or so at the time, and he reached up and tapped me and said, "Does that lady need help?" I read this part and I was like, "What the fuck?" Um, I looked to where he was pointing, and there is a pale woman dressed in white clothes going back and forth, picking up stones just to the left of us across the river. I had seen her many times before around the property, and whenever I would get close, she would disappear behind a tree or something similar would happen. Knowing this, I told Jack as calmly as I could that it was time for dinner and he needed to go up to my mom immediately. When I walked him up and made sure he was on his way, I looked over my shoulder and she was gone. But I could hear splashing in the water beneath us. That when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god!" I could just no, thank you. Like,
I guess I'm also confused. So normally he loses sight of her, but she's like right there in front of them, and he's like, "No, come on, let's go the other way."
yeah, I, th- I, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that when he saw her before, I guess it's before the whole incident.
Oh.
I'm thinking that she was not like emboldened per se, and maybe when he ran over the grave and like unleashed these spirits or this whatever this is, she's now like given permission to really be more bold in her, um, just coming out and showing herself to him.
Okay, because I was like, so he's not normally scared of her, but then he's with somebody else, and he's like,
He's like, "Oh shit,
"Get out of here!"
this, this bitch." It sounds like though you saw her on the property. I'm gonna assume that like he didn't get a good look at her. Like maybe he saw a lady, but like seeing her that close and seeing how pale she was, kind of freaked him the fuck out. Because I could see that being, you know, a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, all of it would freak me out. He just seems so nonchalant about. I've seen her before.
I've seen this lady before. Okay, so event number 5. Myself, my dad, his friends, and some other family were staked out across the river bend on the gravel bar beneath the rise to our house. Nothing out of the ordinary at first. It was July 4th, and we were having an actual good time for a change. We were all spread out about 15 yards from each other. Each man had a low end gas Coleman lantern. And as the sun was setting, my dad looks over at me like something was bugging him. He told me later he felt like he had like someone had just thrown a bucket of ice water over him before it began. The sun had just gone down when this happened. In unison, all lanterns were cranked up full blast. Then, just as quickly became a flame, then the fires roared to life again, down to barely a flame, roared to life, and then went completely out. Right as the flames went out, we heard the most god-forsaken scream by some woman across the river. So this is when you run across, and you go help her.
No, this is when you turn around and go home. 4th of July is canceled.
Have you ever? Okay, I don't know if you were a big gamer growing up, but did you ever play the game Left 4 Dead?
Ooh, I don't think so. I think that I watched somebody play it before, but I don't think I've ever played.
So this lady reminds me of like in the game there's a witch that is like really powerful, and all you hear is like her crying. It sounds like a little girl crying, and you don't see her. And when you see her and you show you point your flashlight at her, she runs at you and like attacks you. That's what my brain goes to. Like this pale ass lady is like this witch who is pretending to be scared and like alone. Like, oh, I'm a witch. I'm alone.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds really familiar. I think I have definitely watched people play this game.
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. Anyways, so whatever it was kept on screaming despite our best attempts to call out to help. They're breaking the rule already. As her scream reached a crescendo, it sounded like what I would imagine a person's throat being cut interrupted her scream. The sound of a dead weight ball of a human body tumbled down the hillside across from us and splashed violently into the water. At this point, all the guys had their flashlights out, and that's when something started swimming and splashing around in the water on both sides of the bend. The splashing receded towards the opposite gravel bar, and whatever it was got out and started pacing back and forth across the rocks there. We were pointing all of our flashlights to where the sound was coming from, but we could not identify where it was originating. It's safe to say we were all running up the hill at this point. We got inside the house, locked the doors, and then gathered in the central living room. Nobody went to leave for fear of what was outside. We all stayed up that night because the wall pounding was more violent than it had ever been. Bam, 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 bam. All night, like the ticking of some demonic clock. I didn't sleep for 2 days after this event. Event number 6. Lost time. I was walking through the woods near the Bell Witch Cave. One moment, it was completely sunny and blue skies around about mid-afternoon, and the next, it was overcast and looked like maybe 4 p.m. Event number 7, night terrors. The torture dreams began, being held down and being brutally drawn and quartered. Dreams of walking through the house and the void person placing their head and hand on my chest and pushing through my solar plexus, body violently shaking in the dream like I was having a seizure. And the last event, but number 8, visit the Bell House / plantation marker in a tobacco field adjacent to my family's property. Brought friends to try and prove that something crazy was happening to my family. The rite of passage in the area is to go to the stone marker where the paranormal events happened hundreds of years ago, then then dance on the stone saying, I don't believe in the Bell Witch. I got them to promise that they wouldn't do that while we went. Of course, the moment we got there, one guy who doubted the legends in a massive way and jumps up onto the stone marker and starts screaming, I don't believe in the Bell Witch, as loud as he could. I got so upset with him, and I'm the only one who knows the way back. So I said, come on, guys, we're leaving. In this area, it's known as the Tennessee River Valley. So there's tons of flowing water around these tobacco fields. The reason this is so important is because of what happened next. We're making good time, walking across the crop field, hundreds of yards long. A mist starts rolling in from the river and begins to saturate the field. Temperature drops easily 25 degrees or so, and we start seeing our breath. I begin to smell sulfur in the breeze. As the mist became a fog, As the mist became a fog, it began. I started hearing this wheezy and deeply cavernous sounding breath around us, like being inside a cave that was breathing. Out of out of nowhere, we started hearing these giant blasting sounds, and I realized something was walking on the chopped tobacco stalks. Side note: when they harvest tobacco, they use a machete and cut down at a 45-degree angle, leaving about 3.5 feet of brittle stalk poking out of the ground. When you step on said stalks, they disintegrate in a very loud way as they burst apart. This starts happening all around us like an army of native spirits running around as if we were in a bandwagon battle. The blasts were coming from every single direction in the fog. That's when I heard it. That deep, cavernous noise turns into this giant sniffing sound, like some Lovecraftian beast smelling its prey just out of eyesight. At this point, I yell, run, in pure panic mode. We take off across the field, not trying to trip and be skewered on the stalks. Um, and as we were exiting the field and our feet hit the gravel road, the lower center part of my back suddenly explodes in agony. I look down and there's a massive rock laying at my feet, and I realize I had just been assaulted. Such a you bell witch, you assaulted. You assaulted. You assaulted me. I'm gonna press charges. By the time I got to my house and examined my back in a mirror, the bruise was about the size of a basketball and already turning black. Wait, I think you lost track here. At number 8. Okay, there's 9 events. You just labeled them event 8 twice. Woke up outside about 3 in the morning. I was laying next to the 4 graves on the property. The night was cold, but I woke up soaked in sweat. We lived there for so long that I have many events to share, process, and willing to have discussions about my time there with you all. Why he leaves it off like this is one of the creepiest events. He woke up outside at 3 in the morning,
And just
laying
leave.
next to the 4 graves, and he just leaves it. Like,
Yeah, I can't. Is that for real? Because I was wondering. I was like, okay, and then it just trails off into like, okay, that's all of the events. No. What?
I'm sorry. What? How
And
do you
so he
stop
got
with
hit by
that?
the big rock, and then that's the end of that one.
And that's the end of that one. Yeah, he's like, I got assaulted.
Yeah,
I got
about assault is
assaulted.
my last thought. As soon as I hit the gravel, I'm not going to tell you about the rest of this, because at that point I'm still panicking. The story's not over.
Crazy
It's
part
not.
is he uploaded a picture. Oh man, is it? That might be too long. He had he uploaded a picture to the Reddit thread, but I think the links are too old. Yeah, so he had a picture of his back, but
It's gone.
um, it's gone. Ah,
Lame,
so lame.
but terrifying. Like running through this field, hearing all of this going on around you, getting hit by the rock, and then you just abruptly end there. And then, oh, and then there's event 9, and I wake up outside next to where the graves are. And you know what? Not a big deal. Let's move on.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay.
I was
I'll
like,
just
did I black out for a second? Like, where's the rest of the story?
yeah. How is it not the? I mean, I could take and getting hit by a rock, but like waking up next to dead bodies or next to graves, no thank you. If I woke up in my cemetery down the street, I would fucking lose my shit. I would check myself into a mental hospital because like, fuck that.
Yeah, what's going on? No, like, did I sleepwalk? Did I get taken to here? What the fuck? And this is just, that's number 9. Now, moving on. Let's just talk about these are all the instances. Are you kidding
No,
me?
no, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
My God. I can't. That. I can't get over that. Not a big deal. If I woke up outside at all, it's a big deal. I don't care where I am. If I'm outside the front door, that's a big in my own backyard. Big deal.
You know, there's a comedian, Mike Birbiglia. He has some kind of sleep disorder. I don't recall what it is, but he sleepwalks like pretty intensely. Like one time he um had a night terror that somebody was trying to keep him in his room at a hotel, and so he in his sleep he jumped out of like the second story window, like through the glass, and fell 2 stories down, like broke his arm, whatever. But because he's had like such eclectic sleepwalking ridiculousness, they he has to be zipped up in his sleeping bag that can only be unzipped from the outside when he go when he goes to bed at
Nightmare.
night.
Nightmare.
Yeah, nightmare fuel.
Yeah, seriously, that would be a nightmare if I could not get out of my sleeping bag. Like, I've never been more claustrophobic than thinking that thought.
I don't know. I feel like the Bell Witch, for the most part, I can understand, like, believe a lot of it. But, when you have stories like that where it's like, I just woke up in a field, it's okay. And then you have the stories of, like, the witch debating, engaging in religious debates and, you know, reciting sermons. Like, if demons are real and if God is real, I thought that, like, reciting anything from the Bible was, like, a no bueno bad thing for, you know, evil
How
things to do.
do exorcists work if they can just recite any old verses? Right?
Yeah. I don't know. That just gets me right there.
Mysteries of the
But
world. But also the Bell
mist.
Witch, it just seems very inconsistent. Um, Not saying that that makes it so it's not true. It's just hard to know what to be afraid of, really. And also, wasn't there one of the instances that, like, the sky just turned different for a second?
In this guy's story, or like the legend.
In this guy's story at, like, number 6 or something.
Oh yeah, he was out walking and it went from like 11 or noon to like 4 p.m. in like minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many. It's so inconsistent. Because, I lose track of time sometimes too, and I don't ever blame it on the Bell Witch, but just seeing like that one too, I woke up outside next to some where the graves were, or maybe still are. Um, yeah, I don't know. Just the different things that this Bell Witch is accused of seems such a, I don't know, large scale where of things that this Bell Witch will do.
I think I think this Bell Witch is getting a bad rap. I think she's just a innocent bystander who just wants to chill and collect rocks on her property. And I want to hear the Bell Witch's side of the story. I want to see her post on Reddit, be like, fucking kids were fucking living in my house, or these fucking kids would not get me out of the river. I was drowning and I had to get myself out. So of course I threw a rock at them, like, because they were being assholes. Like, I want to hear her side.
Yeah,
So
I'm down for that.
Bell Witch, Bell Witch, if you're out there, and obviously you're listening, because every mythical being listens to us. So
Why
if
not?
you're listening, join the podcast. We'll have you on as a guest for a month straight.
Yeah, that sounds great. The
Ah,
Bell Witch episodes.
the the Bell Witch Chronicles.
The Bell, yeah, trilogy.
Well, thank you guys for listening to us ramble about everything and anything in between. Um, we hope that you guys enjoyed our episode and hope that you guys, yeah, let us know what you think. You can actually comment on the podcast episode on Spotify. You can engage in a discussion. Like, if the Bell Witch wants to participate, she can comment. Um,
Let
you
us know your
know,
schedule. We'll get you on here.
yeah, let us know your schedule. Let us know what you think, and we appreciate you all. And happy 2025.
Bye.